Hello, everybody. It's Crazy Logics 007 on YouTube, Crazy Logics in the forums, and everybody else just calls me Damon. Got three audio pipes here on the bench. They're all the same. They're all an AP-1500D. I thought it'd be fun since I got all three of them. Kind of go through them real quick and see some defects maybe. See if there's something common. See if we can't slap at least one of them together. I am going to try to time myself and not make the live stream too awfully long. So we'll start a timer there for an hour. That way my wife doesn't yell at me. Jesse, just so you know, that is the HD for the 45 HD, 75 HD, and 150 HD. That is the replacement card for that's the PIM. I make them. Always got a bunch. I sell them to the repair shops too. So they use them. If you don't want to do them yourself, you can get them at Desert Audio Specialists, GNS Amp Repair. They're even over in the UK. The Amp Doctor has them. So I did pull one of those out to show you. I am working on the 30 HD / 100 Power 100 HD one. Almost got that designed. So everybody keeps asking for it and wanting it. It just we are down a whole bunch of guys in our department at work, and so we work way too much, and I'm way too busy here lately, and I've just got so much going on that time is very limited. So that's why I haven't been publishing videos. I have been recording. I just ain't had time to edit. So eventually more stuff will get out, but I appreciate you guys coming by and watching here. So let's get started. I think this top one is the one I peeked at already. Yeah, it's got the baggie in it. So I'm gonna set these. Bottoms are off of all this. We're gonna start with that one. And we'll just troubleshoot. And I kind of already know a little bit about this one. So let's look. I may turn on the overhead light if it doesn't glare too bad. Made some notes on this one. It was really slow to power up, it says here, but it does seem to power up. It says it's got some RCA damage, which we can see right there on the input side. So I've probably got some replacements of those off of other amplifiers. It's got a broken speaker terminal, which makes me need to inspect those others. But on this one, I already went through and did the standard test. So let's just start there. Put your multimeter in diode mode, where it would normally beep for you. And you guys can't hear that beep because I have a filter on. Let's see if I get it over here. Maybe you can hear it a little better. You can hear it when I'm talking, maybe. But anyway, look and see what your positive and your negative is. And what we're going to be doing is charging these caps here. And we're just checking to see if that goes all the way out to the limit. If you look at the meter below my ugly mug here, whether or not something's shorted or being a big resistor in the power supply section. And so Damien, thanks for joining. Yeah, so we'll get to do it. So see, it charged all the way up to 1. So that tells us the power supply section probably okay. Todd uses, which is Ellensburg Eberg amplifier repair. He uses resistance. I use diode mode normally when checking and just watch my meter, but I'm looking for shorts on the output FETs here. Resistance is a really good way to do it because it'll find some stuff, but normally when I'm just running through these, I'm trying to listen a little more, and that's what we're doing here. A little tiny beep is okay because that means it's just charging a cap. But on this one, we have no dead stuff, so we could technically power it up. Let's do that. We know we have a problem here. Let's do that first. Says that is the two positives here, so we're going to check at the bottom of the board. Yep. And then these two are the two negatives. Nothing across the two. So I am also going to look. Kind of got mastic all over this. I wonder if I can get my probe in there. Okay, so we got the positive. It shows good. I'm worried about those being cracked. If that one got broke, probably because it took some kind of impact. And so I am going to turn on the overhead light for a minute. This out of the way so that it's not making extra glare. Get the old eye loop out. Does not appear to have any other damage, so we don't need that one RCA. We can feed some signal in here. So let's just give it a test. We're just going through all three of them really fast. We'll see if we find a blown one that we can repair on. And then we'll do a little discussion of that. That's an oddly slow charge. Yeah, it seemed a little weird. That's why I made that note, slow to power on also. So we'll find out in just a second. So in Todd's live stream, there were some questions about things to tools to have a bench set up, and he was talking about his slow power supply. You can see up here I have a bench style power supply, which is current limited. I love that because keeps me from exploding stuff. It normally powers almost everything. There are a handful of amps designs out there, like I was talking about that Type 8, which is the driver card like this. Some of those Type 8s, and Sam may have a fix for it. They try to power up too quick if they're current limited, or they don't power up quick enough current limited, and you can't even pulse to build the rail because the output likes to try to start coming on and figuring its stuff out, and it'll actually heat up the output transistors. But you put on a slightly bigger supply and it comes up to rail voltage real quick, and then everything's fine in the output section. So I just had a sundown that was giving me that issue. And so I think there is maybe a fix for that. It's a fix for test bench. It's not really a fix for in your car, because your car's battery has plenty of power to let the thing power up. So it's not a design flaw. It's a flaw for us that use a bench. So I've got power hooked up here. I'll turn on my power supply. We're at 3.46 volts. Now you're going to notice I do have, if I can do it here, do have a little current draw. It's because I have an Alpine radio that's hooked up, and that's going to be my signal source. So where are our LEDs? Are right here. So let's get them in here, and I'm going to pulse it here a few times. It's not wanting to go up a bunch. I'm going to just let it. You see my current jump up, but it's idling at 1.6, and it says we got power. So I'm going to turn on my signal source. So this one says input left and right, or bridge in or bridge out. I'm just going to go in this one spot. Oh, find a screw stick. I got the fans on and the garage door open. It's still hot even though we got rain. Somebody's got their big diesel truck out here. So if there's background noise, I apologize. All right, everything's turned off except for the gains partly turned up because I got a low power thing here. So now I'm going to power it up again. And got some speaker wires here. Filter's cutting most of it out. I like the filter because it blocks my fan noise, but it is playing music. We're going to fire up the scope. I'm going to let it sit here and get paused. My scope takes a minute to warm up. You'll notice the line up here is not perfect until it warms up. But let's just fire this back up. And, ooh, it's an ugly, dirty signal here. That is not very clean. It's thick. So I'm not sure how good the output filtering is, but it is playing. So let's look at that. That reminds me of the new full bridge amps, all these piece of junk ones that are out. All right, I've got a speaker hooked to it now. It did not clean up a whole lot. It's really, really thick. You can see it's thick. If I change it to a sine wave here, it's a straight full-on sine wave. You can see how thick that is. It's not thin on the O-scope. Just means it does not have good filtering out here. But that seems to be working. Crazy. What type? Yeah, the 21844. This one, of course, it's got everything sanded off, but it's we can pull it up on Perry's guide. There's gonna, I think, a TL. This is like a 74 HC something or something like that, or maybe those are. I can pull it up, but we're gonna go ahead and kill the power because that one technically works. It needs RCA's repaired. Speaker terminal repaired, and I'll see if I can do that, and a thorough testing, but we'll take it. I'll bet it. I've got it because I got this tossed to me to fix some other amps because these supposedly weren't working, and I'll bet it was because that one speaker terminal is busted. We'll see if these others are as dirty if we get them up and going. Otherwise, I got a sundown here. That's a 1500 watt, an SAZ 1500 watt that we can put on the bench, and I'll show you a nice clean signal. Same song. So that one, not so bad. I mean, we're talking these are audio pipes, so they're not going to be the fanciest. I think it does have, nope, that's good. So cover screws. Let's go to number 2. All right, number 2. These have been sitting in my storage. Oop, drop it. Spider. So we inspect it. I always look down into the speaker terminals and the power terminals, make sure there's not a bunch of copper in there. This one's got good RCA's. Went ahead and set. This one had the gain about midway. That's good. So we're going to leave it about midway because I got a low power head unit right now. Low pass filter, I crank that up just so I can hear more music through it. Subsonic off because I use a sealed box. Bass boost off, and bass boost frequency set to nothing. So back to checking again. This is positive, so you take your positive, as long as you got it set up right on your meter. In diode mode, your meter puts out roughly 3 volts, so it's going to allow you to do it. You should hear a beep when it first starts charging, and look at there, we're stuck. You guys can't hardly see it from the glare. Let me get that up. We are stuck there. It's not charging up anymore. So it tells me we have a problem in the power supply. So before I check the power supply FETs, I'm going to go to the output FETs. I'm just going to go through them. Maybe we'll get lucky and this is just a power supply. That'd be a fun repair. Good. Uh-oh. I see a problem already. I know why the power supply blew. Somebody's had this one mounted to a speaker box because the inductor is broken. I'll show you that. See, it broke there, and that's where the wire should go. So we already know we have that problem. That might be fixable. I can either extend that wire as long as it's not fried, but it doesn't have any mastic on it really to speak of. So we'll have to carefully inspect that. I don't rewind transformers. I just don't have the time in the room. So that's how it is. So let's see. Saying hello to everybody. Yes, what type of driver? Type 3. I've seen that before, Damon, where the filtering is not the best. Yeah, I know it happens in a lot of the cheaper amps nowadays. The filtering just sucks. And they rely on the subwoofer as part of the filter way too much. So we're definitely showing a short on some of these power supplies. I'm trying to find one that's completely blown. Just showing. These caps look bad. Everything just says to be. Haha, Todd's gonna love this. We are not got a dead short, so we're going to switch to resistance since the diode mode didn't show it up. Normally diode mode takes care of it because things go to straight short. It's when you get these particulars like this where you're looking for low ohms. See, that one shows low ohms. It shows 24. That one shows about 24. You can switch your probes. See if anything changes. They're all showing 24. I've not found a sneaky one. Go back and check something on these diodes here. Outer, 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 outer is all good. So and all I'm doing is checking to make sure there's not a dead short between the outer legs and the middle leg. It may beep at you, but it'll charge up the cap. That's just because it's charging the cap. Okay, so go back to ohms. Rectifiers seem good. We are 23 and 24. Nothing is showing up bad straight off the bat. All the same. Only on resistance you'll find a sneaky low one. So yes, Jesse, the transformers could be shorted due to vibration. These also have an LED on the front that is hooked to this little wire here. We're going to go ahead and unplug that. We're going to inspect these caps really good. I don't see any that looks like they're trying to escape. So we got positive over here. We're still at that low ohms. We need to take this one out of the case to see if we can see anything on the bottom side and to get a better look at the FETs. Maybe one of them will show up bad somewhere. Got a little damage right here on the thermal pad. Yep, Ivalo. I don't know how to say his name. Ivilo. Ivalo. I'm very much a hick from Missouri, and so my pronunciation is a little skewed, and I struggle with names that aren't, you know, Bob, Tom, kind of things. So if I butcher your name, sorry. Normally I do better after I hear it once, but then I'm terrible with names. Goes that big diesel pickup. Just Ivo. Okay, we'll do that. Thank you. That makes it easy on me. Sorry, there went a big diesel pickup back. He left. I was at the neighbor's. These are some long-winded screws. Pro tip, get you a cheapo, Harbor Freight one's even fine, little drill driver that has got slipper to it and everything, that's low power for disassembly. Don't use it for reassembly. I do not condone using power tools for reassembly of stuff. Same thing, I don't use impacts to put lug nuts on. You always hand start those kind of things and stuff. Then you can run it down and everything, but without using hand start, you can't make sure that you're not cross-threading and stuff. There's so much more you can feel by hand when you're doing it by hand. But for disassembly, I'm a big proponent of trying to save a little time. So I will tell you a gotcha on all these Audiopipe amps and a few other brands. They have these cool metal screens in underneath the heat sinks. Well, those are held in by screws here, here. You can see this one. Let's see if we can corner. See that? You're going to have to take at least 2 of these screws out so that the FETs can slide by. Otherwise, you got to bend the FETs so much that it's bad, and that's what clamps in those screens. Now, this one we are going to take out probably that direction. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these 2. If I can get my fingers on it, I might have to grab tweezers. Not quite enough. Went to Spring Break Nationals for 4 or 5 years ago. The Audiopipe demo car was just plywood. Nothing was wrapped. Not even sure why they let it in. You know, I like Audiopipe. Price point, normally their stuff is pretty decent quality. It's they produce enough of it and such large volume that they can hit a price point and give you somewhat quality of a product at that price point. When I say quality of a product, quality for that price point. So if you, let's just say this amp was $100 and there was other amps that were the same size that were all listed at $100, you know, all these weird off brands that you see, I'd probably go with the Audiopipe just because they're a bigger name brand, probably better warranties, service, that kind of thing. That being said, every company has a stinker or two, or a whole lot. You know, not every design that they put out's worth a darn. I think all I gotta do is take this center one out. And all that'll come free from there. But, you know, I've worked on several Audiopipes. The bigger ones, the 3500, it seems pretty decent. Oh, that's Torx. And when I say decent, I'm not like comparing it to super high quality stuff here. I'm saying budget. I'm a big proponent of, you know, buying the best you can for what you can afford, or saving up more and, you know, getting something that's worth having. But man, sometimes you just want good stereo or you don't have nothing. It's like in my truck, factory. It was all factory for the longest time, except I was driving home from work one day. I cranked up the factory radio because a good song was on, and I was headed home, and I could hear my door speakers flapping, and they just sounded terrible because they just finally started to fall apart. You know, factory speakers do. So, of course, then I found me a set of Rockford 6x8s to put in there to replace them, and then I was like, well, I kind of this and kind of that, and all of a sudden, before I knew it, I got a sub box, I'd wired up an amp, replaced the head unit, got all Rockford speakers in the doors, but it's not loud. It just has a pair of 10s in it and good 6x8s running off the factory radio. Now that factory Kenwood is cool because its crossover will affect its own power out, so I can remove the bass to the door speakers, which I did, and then ran to my one small amp. If you've watched my old school SPL challenge video, you'll see that I set that up. I've got, you know, an amp in my truck. Actually, my truck's set up to be a test bed for certain amps. Some of the better amps, I do a little sound quality testing for quality assurance purposes. Oh, here we go. And so one thing leads to another. If you got an old beater that you drive back and forth to work each day, and you're not going to put your high-end stereo stuff in, Audiopipe's just fine. Scar's just fine. Sundown's just fine. The only thing I'd say is not fine is them Sound Digital clones, which is Def Bonts, Sundown. Ooh, be there. Big blob of solder right next to that clamp and there. I wonder what that is. Did it come out the back of this diode, or is this just hanging out here? That is melted solder. Smashed, maybe? And that just looks like solder. All right. So anytime you find something like that, stop what you're doing and retest. You may have found part of your short circuit. I don't know if that was just on the rectifier. That's not going to be it, but we're just going to test. Okay. So, like I said, as you're going, as you're disassembling, pay attention. So all I'm doing here is popping, I'm giving it a little wiggle and then pulling the FET free, trying to make sure that it pops free from the seal tape here very gently. I don't want to tear it up, and then just pulling the FET out just enough that it's going to clear and not drag. Like I said, I just get a hold of it. I give it a little wiggle to pop free. Not all of them need it, but some of them do. And then give it a little pull out. So in theory, we should be able to slide now. So I pulled the screw out of the RCA here, just leaving that in there. And the problem we have is the LED light, so I am going to have to take this panel piece off. Anybody catch that? Can't wait. Oh, Roger. Hey, oh yeah, I got your amps kind of on the back burner, but not. I want to do it right, and I'll probably won't do any live stream, Roger, on that amp, but I'll show everybody what we're talking about, because I know you like to show it off, because I like showing it off. So anyway, that's getting rid of the LED wire here. That out of the way, and suddenly it all slides out. So you can see the LED wire here. I'll put this heat sink out of the way, and I'll put this back too. Roger is a great guy. I mean, how many guys would just, give you something like this out of the goodness of their heart? It's a Ryan Concept 97.3 Special Edition. Just kidding, Roger. We know it has a blown channel. I popped it apart enough to look at that, but I need to take it apart again and actually pull it completely apart, double check the back side of the board, and then measure, get all the sizes to recap it, because it is older and we don't want it to leak and damage a board, because these are a little bit rare, not a ton, but a little bit. And get this thing back up and working so that he can hear it. He wants to hang it on his, he wants it functional because he wants to hear it play. But I think he's going to have it in his little display setup and stuff. However, Roger is an SPL type guy, and if they do another old school SPL challenge, he could use his truck, take his big amp out, and put this sucker in just to give it a whirl. See how much this thing does on his gosh, I think he's got 415s or something. Correct me if I'm wrong, Roger. It's crazy build. So yes, it may be a year before that video comes out. Hopefully it won't be a year before I get a chance to work on it. But I'll video record going through, probably make a list of the capacitors, replace that, fix the channel, make sure it's all cleaned up and working properly. We're going to kind of restore some of the plugs and stuff on it. Oh, firework. We may have that problem a little bit. We're right on the city limits, so people can kind of shoot fireworks right here. So looking around, I don't see any. Whoa, what's this? There's a sill pad with an aluminum block across the speaker terminal area. Is that to give it more heat dissipation over there? That's weird. I've never seen that. There's an aluminum chunk on a sill pad. Does this look factory? Has this been worked on before? Let's look. Let me get. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Have you ever seen something like that, Todd? Yeah, Todd is correct. One thing you can do is put your meter on ohms. Stick your. So we got on ohms. It should read about 24 is what we've been getting. I hold it right there. I get it on there. Holy goodness. And then you twist. And you shake. And sometimes you can give it a little board flex. Bouncy bounce. But not see anything. These two feel well secured. Although they're not that great, but of course that one's bad, but doesn't look like that's the problem. My first thought after that, and said this is a little weird. Let's just pop off. So let's see. Talked about Audiopipe. Talked about Roger's amp that he's kindly donated to me because he loves me. Actually, I want an amp similar to that. Jeez, this thing's on here like it's screwed. I don't know. We're going to look at one of the others to see if that's an actual block. That worries me. But maybe it's got silicone, so I think they put that either that. Oh. So if these boards were a little bit prone to flex and breaking these terminals, maybe they reinforce the board with a chunk of aluminum underneath here and some silicone and a seal mat, so that, you know, that other amp that had a broken terminal, maybe they're supporting it because it had a little flex here in the middle. I don't know. That's very interesting. So unfortunately, I was hoping for a diode, a protection diode at the beginning here. I don't see one. Where somebody could have hooked it up backwards. Still could happen, and that could probably be what's causing it, but I don't see a problem on the board anywhere here. So one thing I'm going to do is try. These are 60 NF06s. So we can remove them and then apply power to see if the circuit's working. But I think something in the circuit is going to be bad. Now, there's certain things that do go wrong. Clean this up a little. Like I said, it has been sitting in storage. When you hook up power backwards, depending on whether it has a protection diode, it can blow FETs. It can blow just a handful of things in the circuit here. So I'm going to inspect this real well. As a matter of fact, we could inspect it together. I believe if my software will recognize with it not being powered up yet, because I did have it plugged in. Pardon me for being a mess. I'm having 100 things going on in my workbench. See if I can bring that up there. Power that up there. Let's see if Microscope works. No, it does not. Why does Microscope not work? Why? No. Got the correct one there. Oh no. Parts falling out of bags. Probes everywhere. I wonder. Go to that. Say no, and then say yes. Dang it. Well, I was going to try to use the microscope, but we're not going to use it because I can't get it going right now. We'll just slide back and we'll zoom in, and I'll use my thing. So, spring break. Can't we see the Ryan? Let me get through chat here real quick. It's good bang for the buck. Yeah, they are. Made it. What's the issue here? Hey, technical specialist. Well, it says shorted power supply, but something in the power supply is shorted. Is the Audiopipe used original 640Ns, or is that one of the Chinese copies? Let's see here. Rip these all off and we'll see. Might be able to just see it on camera. Easier. The light to hit the right angle. Nope. Give me a second here. I'm old and have to have all kinds of assistance. IRF 640Ns. 640Ns, 640Ns. Yep. The output stage. Is this from factory? This is from factory and is for the output trace shunt. Oh, the output trace shunt. That is from the factory. So it's supporting where that went. Like I said, that other one was broke. We're going to look at the other one because if it doesn't have that thing in there and it happens to be like an older revision, that would explain. I do have a 440/4 to give me. Oh, yeah, power amps. You said 440. A couple things there in my mind. You know, you're going to give me a big block Dodge, or I was thinking of Rockford, but Tar Amps. Todd from Ellensburg may be the Tar Amps guy for you there. I don't have a ton of luck with them sometimes because of parts availability and all those full bridge, Class D, full range 4 channels are just not that great in my opinion. Definitely not fun to work on. Maybe that's why I have a lower opinion of them. So I'm going to inspect here in the drive circuit really quick here. Nothing's jumping out at me. So it's going to be my guess. That's just really ugly from the factory. So my guess is going to be that it got hooked up backwards maybe. And we popped a little something in the circuitry, the power supply drive circuitry, not necessarily the FETs. I'm looking. looking for cracked or broken joints on the bottom here, just to make sure. So we're gonna have to pull the FETs out of this one so that we can power up the drive circuit. So fart gun enabled. So there's 6 here, so there's going to be 3 and 3 for this transformer and 3 and 3 for this transformer. The pair rectifiers to go to the rail caps to give us rail voltage. So, okay. Jim says, I like cheese. Yes, that is there to cool the trace for the current shunt. Is there a current shunt underneath that? It'd have to be soldered on the other side of the board. Todd says, oh yeah, I love tar amps. So, all right. I'm going to put these up a little. So I try to get minimal thermal paste all over me. As soon as we get the power supply FETs out, we can check those in the tester to see if maybe they're all just bad in the same way. Oh, I don't have my thing on. Sorry. Maybe they're all just bad in the same way. Or there's a couple bad that are making the others bad, but it wasn't, they just failed. They didn't fail beautifully, catastrophically like as normally. So, Italian Retro Guy, hey yo! All right, get the specs out here. I may have to add solder. We'll see. This will take a minute. Normally in this part of the video, we'd fast forward. If one of you have figured out how to fast forward in real life, you let me know, because I could use it. Todd, any other ideas? Any other ideas on what to check without being able to see any damage anywhere and having a low resistance on the power supply? Maybe I'm missing something. Is there a this one neat trick that repair guys hate kind of thing that I missed that I don't know of? Something I can learn today on the live stream. That one's a booger. So in cutting off their legs, got this one. I'm trying to lay these out in the order they came just so we can see. Fire up the soldering iron so I can get this other one out, maybe. I should be able to get it up the thing. I'll just see if I can move off the tip. A little extra solder here. It's got a nub on the end that wasn't a clean cut from the factory. So it's left a little nub and it's kind of sideways, so it doesn't want to let it flow through. Get it heated up and pushed up a little. Now I've got it shoved up a little. I can take a pair of pliers, straighten it out. Now I should be able to desolder it. That nub is still kind of making it where it doesn't want to go through the hole, so break it off there. There we go. Well, you little devil. Dadgum ya. Foul, fill, feeth, and frickin'. All right. Got out of there. Todd, have you repaired the 400.4 with the small IC? Todd says yes, he has. I'm sure Todd has repaired much more than me. One, Todd specializes in amp repair. He does it for a living. I don't. I do it for fun. I do it because I'm cheap. To be honest with you, I do it because I'm cheap. You know, I love my Project Midlife Crisis, which is our new car that new to us that me and my wife got. All the amps that are going into it, I've repaired. They're all up for Power Series amps. I would not have been able to afford any of those amps working, brand new kind of thing. I couldn't have bought all that stuff that I did. So it's a big deal. I was raised poor, so learning to do all this stuff, a lot of that. Now, my parents would thump me in the head probably and say, well, you weren't poor, you had a lot of stuff. We did well for you, and they did awesome. We just weren't wealthy, is what I'm saying. We didn't throw away money. When I was born, we were dirt poor, but my dad worked really hard to make us lower middle class, I guess what you'd call it, middle class. We didn't want. You hear everybody use that term, oh, we didn't know we were poor. When I talk about the boogers on the legs, see that right there, that booger on the end of that one, that was bent over a little bit. It's from not shearing off cleanly. That's what's making these hard to get out. JL Audio is really bad about it on their Slash series. They have burrs on them, and their holes are so small and so tight for the FET legs to fit through that you almost have to desolder them, slide them up, and clean the ends of them off. And when I mean slide them up, I mean you desolder them like I'm doing here, and you slide the FET up a little to get more leg in so you can clean the burrs off of them before you pull it through the hole so you don't damage anything. My desoldering gun is struggling here. I need to make sure it's not plugged up, and we may have to dump the canister out. I can't remember the last time I dumped it. So all I'm doing is running the wire rod. My wire rod's seen better days. Well, it's hot. Sometimes I have to grab it with a plier because it's been bent a few times. When I was learning to use it, I plugged it up a lot. There's the problem. Told you I had too much solder. It's all plugged in the end. But here I'm going to tell you, doing good maintenance keeps them from plugging up. And here I plugged it up right here on screen. I just cleaned it, but I forgot that I desoldered a couple of coils, so I sucked a lot in. I forgot about that. I did that yesterday or something like that. So let's try that. You can hear the difference. But just keeping them clean, 99% of it, man. Just not being a goober and remembering that you desoldered several big coils, and you should have cleaned it out right afterwards, which I didn't do because I'm a goober. You know, that would have prevented this problem. So I guess see what's going on in if a channel is out on one, is there anything else to check? Still powers up and run the other three channels. You'll just need to contact tar amps and getting a replacement. Jesse, anytime you can get warranty right now on any amplifier, any electronics for that matter, get warranty because it may be slow, but you'll at least have it and you'll at least get something back repaired. Because Todd can tell you, because he does warranty repair work for tar amps, the manufacturer will send him parts, sometimes slow. Sometimes it takes a while for him to get them all that he needs and stuff, but they're going to supply him with the parts to repair it. Whereas a lot of the parts right now are unavailable to guys like me who aren't a factory authorized. I'm just buying from Mauser and DigiKey and stuff, and they're out of stock. Where Todd has additional channels, plus a factory repair guy like him who does amp repair for a living, he's got other channels and other sources that he's taken years to develop and get parts that, you know, from sources that I just haven't got. And so he's saved my butt on a couple repairs by sending me a few parts so I could finish up an amp repair. And thank you for that, Todd, by the way. Go with the warranty if it's under warranty. Because if you send it to a regular repair guy that maybe is not factory authorized, you know, say like you got somebody local but he's not a tar amps guy, always a good idea to take it to him, have him pop the cover off and make sure it's not nothing stupid simple. I do a lot of that. One of our local sponsors of all the bass scene is GP Car Audio, and I have done several amps where they didn't really want me to repair it necessarily if it was bad. They just want me to pop the cover off, make sure it's nothing simple, because, you know, you ship a big amp and it costs money, and if it's just happened to be something silly that happened and that's somewhat quick fix, which happens occasionally, you can save all that money shipping and back and stuff and everything and get it repaired, and then it can just be sold as refurbished instead of sent off for shipping money, repaired, maybe cost something to repair and the shipping cost back, and then sold as refurbished, and you can lose money. You know, a business can lose money on stuff like that. So I peek at a lot of them, even because those factory seals, hang on. These factory seals that you see, void if warranty void if removed, and all that stuff, no longer legal in the U.S. Oh, there's my hour. We'll go a little longer because we're gonna fire this up. But the Magnuson Morrison Act, I think it's called. Don't quote me 100%, but you'll get there if you kind of Google that. For repair, said that customers are allowed to open things up and look at them because, you know, you wouldn't want to warranty your blender if you'd made a blended drink and it quit working, to find out that if you'd taken a screw off the bottom and popped the cover off, there was a reset button or a fuse. But if there was a little tag that says, oh, void, warranty void if this removed, they said, no, that doesn't count. Customers are allowed to open it up, make sure that it's not something simple that they can fix, and that won't void warranty. The words escape me. The responsibility is on the manufacturer now to prove that you did something to damage it while you were in there. Well, that's going to be really hard for them to do because there's no reason for you to open it if it's working correctly. You know what I mean? So it stopped working. That's why you opened it. So they're going to have a hard time ever proving that you did all the damage that was caused. And now you can open it up and you can screw it up more, obviously. Anywho, so let's get some power. We do not have set screws for power and ground, but we can get around that. Let me get the remote wire in there. I learned a lot. I learned out of necessity, for lack of a better term, as well. Yeah, I fix Nintendos, PlayStations, Xboxes, old arcade games. I started a little. I got one video out, but I got more stuff recorded. I love repairing electronics. I actually picked up the other day. I need to make sure. Always check, never assume. But right here we have the remote. This is 12 volt, that's ground. I always double check off the end plates. So ground is going to go here. And the 12 volt's going to go there. We're just going to turn it on. Oh, shit. Sorry, pardon my French. Oh my goodness. It's no longer a family-friendly channel. Potty mouth. Sorry. We'll have to put a big beep if I can edit that in when this goes live. Let's unhook this first. We took the FETs out. We got power here and ground there. So we're still showing a short. And now it's a dead short. It's beeping at me. So, my opinion, there's three, and there's the other 3 and 3. These are probably all good. We can test them in the tester here. Let's see. Was I checking gate to source? You'll need to replace the IC, just the IR4321. Appreciate you live streaming. Yep, learned it. So I like to repair all kinds of stuff. Lots of old school stuff from when I was a kid that I couldn't necessarily afford. Electronics was my hobby, and I just kind of kept growing it and keep learning. I watch tons of electronics YouTube videos while I go to bed at night and kind of fall asleep. Sometimes I have to watch them 3 or 4 times. I'll watch one of Todd's videos, or my mate Vince, Louis Rossman. I watch. I'm a very do-it-yourself kind of guy. I watch Vice Grip Garage. My wife loves that series, and so it's been great because we'll watch it together. I like fixing and working on all my stuff, and mostly because I could never afford to have somebody else do it, but secondly is because I know it's done the way I want it done. It's done right. You know, a long time ago I built the back porch onto this house, and it's built like a tank. You know, you can jump up and down on that sucker. You can land a helicopter on it, kind of thing. I like that kind of stuff. The way it's done to my specification. So now we have something showing a short, which is weird because we took it out of took the FETs out. I'm going to go ahead and pull. I don't know if I need to or not. If I can just get them to go in there. Live streaming takes up so much of my brain power. Try to read the chat and do this and explain what I'm doing. Plus, try to have interesting conversation. That it's tough for me, especially I'm a little ADHD. There's simple board. Okay, so you guys are talking about that tar amps, which is way above my head. Todd says that's why he enjoys it. They send him the parts. Jesse's an installer. Jesse, I'm sure you've seen Basic Car Audio Electronics, bcae1.com. That's Perry's website. That shows his basic website. He has a paid guide also. If you're really willing to do the work, that's worth getting. There's been people that bought it that thought that Perry's little paid guide was going to show them, oh, you go into this amplifier and you replace this part right here. And that fixes all those amplifiers at that time. That's always the problem. That's not how amplifiers work. Amplifiers die in 100 different ways. And so you have to, it's a teaching instrument that teaches you electronics specifically towards amplifiers. One of the nice things it does is teaches you the switching power supply on here, which is applicable to a lot of other things. That's the most important thing, I think, to learn, is switching power supplies. It's in everything electronic. And so go on there if you're willing to learn and willing to sit down and learn. The guide's worth it. If you think it's going to show you the secret to replace a couple components, that's always the problem on certain amps. That's not what that guide does. You'll be disappointed and you won't learn anything. Yeah, Todd says, I was going to check and see if the short is cleared. Well, Todd, it got worse. So, I was going to run my tester here. Get this to not glare. That comes up as an NE MOS. I'm only doing one there. I would do all of them, but the short got worse. So something is definitely shorted. Put these over here and collect my thoughts. So we definitely got something across there that is a dead short. Man, it's almost got to be a component on the power supply. Drive setup. We got a little dirt and stuff there. So I'm going to go meter and continuity. We're going to go ground. And then we're just going to start looking and run across all the legs on the TL. And that should be the ground for the chip. It is. We got a dead short to ground on pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's pull up a TL494 sheet so everybody can play along. I'm gonna go to the left screen. This is what you get. The amp repair tutorial from Perry. There's tons of stuff. Oh, that's not where I want to go. But it talks about all kinds of different things. You get all kinds of stuff. One of the big things it has is already downloaded for you semiconductor data sheets, so you don't have to go looking on the web. Sometimes it's faster to search the web if you know it's going to pop up. Here we go. TL495, and that's going to show you, which is the same as the 494 and the same as the 7500. So let's see which. Let me double check this. So pin 7 is ground. That's good. What else was grounded here? Pin 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 is grounded. So that should have a resistor. Dead time control. I don't think that should go straight to ground, although it may be grounded to I'm looking for an example circuit, but that down, back to working, string. So I don't think that's a problem. That's probably grounded for a reason. Todd or somebody may chime in here and tell me right off the bat without me going back and looking at my notes. I couldn't say, so. I do too, because I know I will do it the way I want. Yeah, Italian retro guy. Exactly. You need to get Perry's paid guide. Is a pain with the IP address? No, Perry does a real good job. You use IP Chicken. We'll tell you what your actual IP address is so that you can give that to him, and then he'll unlock it for you to download. Just make sure you got plenty of room, and then get you a jump drive and copy it to the jump drive also, so you got 2 copies in case you have your computer dies on you. You don't have to contact him to re-download it again, stash you a version of it away. Yeah, the switch mode power supplies, agree to solder bridge. Oh, solder bridge. That is a good point. Did I make one? Desoldering. No, I do not see one there, but that is between the gate and the middle leg, which is what? Source? Is that source? Is that right? Drain, source, gate, or... Can't even remember how those are. I used to have... so that's gate. Sorry. No, it's between the drain and source. Sorry. Yes, you're right. So that's acting like we have a direct short between positive and negative. So the transformers are hooked to the B plus side, and then they should go through the FETs up to the negative side. So the only thing left is something across here, and so I'm still looking. And it may take me longer. I may have to do a follow-up video because I'm about to starve. So there's a short there. Because I really need to get my microscope going because it's going to be in here. Checking these diodes. So that I can show you when I find it. Basically what I'm looking for is a ground in 2 places where it shouldn't be. It's the easiest troubleshooting method there is. You know, ground on both sides of the cap. Which I have one here, C50. It could be as simple as that. But there's a good chance that C50 is right across there, but we'll see. So this troubleshooting method is what you would also use in MacBooks, other stuff like that. Trying to find a cap or something like that that is reading a short to ground on both sides. We got one here. But we're probably also going to have them across these caps. So, you know, we've got a short. These caps don't look bad, so I might suspect this. Because I'm not seeing any physical damage, and I'm not seeing sweating. I didn't see any physical damage, and so we're looking for something like that. So I'm going to have to, my systematic approach was, you know, try to find something that reads on both sides. Well, these caps right here read on both sides short, but they're connected across where our short is. This, and let me make sure that's in the view so you can see it. This cap doing the same thing, but that might be the problem. Technically could be these, but they don't look swollen or anything. I expect something kind of in there that if this was hooked up backwards, something should pop. Normally it wouldn't be a cap. Normally it's a diode or a transistor that pops. So I'd have to do a little more investigating. We're going to stop here on this one and look at the other one real quick because I need to cut the live stream a little bit short. And we're going to put, because I will do a follow-up video, a little piece of tape on here. Follow-up video. Power supply short. So we're going to do that, and while I'm probing and stuff, I will get my microscope working so that you guys can actually see what I'm doing. I can zoom in a little on this one, but it gets all fuzzy and it has some problems. So that's awesome. We've got that one marked. We know it's got a problem here. If it gives me too much trouble, or if it ends up being in these transformers, we can steal the RCAs off this one and the speaker jacks for that other one. So won't be a total loss if this has got shorted transformer windings. I did look at them a little. See if I can show them up in here. I didn't see anything. Normally you'll find at least one winding that is burnt up. Now if you look at that one, it's a little crispy, and this thing may be toast. Once we look at it and stuff, it may not be worth it. So this whole thing may be wonker jawed. So we'll see. So the last one is really dirty. Somebody has been in it a little bit and slid it out, most likely because there's screws missing for the clamp that piece on there, and the thermal paste is a mess. Good idea about the jump drive. Drain, yeah, it was between source and drain on those FETs. We have a shorted drive transistor. Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. Oh my goodness, this one has oil in it. Look at here. We got some kind of oily grease all nasty in there. Eee. I don't know. Somebody spilt something nasty in there. We might not do this one. We may need to take this one apart. Yeah. Let's turn off the glare producer. Look at all that nastiness in there. Sure hope that's not electrolyte. Doesn't look like it. It looks more like somebody dripped motor oil in there or something. Somebody's had this one apart in their garage. So let's do a quick test. B plus and ground. I'm not powering it up with all the junk in here. But it's taking a slow charge here. Of course, that other one that worked kind of took a slow charge. My meter's battery may be getting a little low too. See the battery indicator on it yet, but if it don't make it, it's dropping. So I'm going to hold this on there really good. All right, look at there, 1340. Power supply's bad in here. Now, it could be resistive due to whatever the hell is all on here. Those don't feel bad. Oh, we already got another one of these broken free. It's not broke, but it's just flopping. So maybe the 1500D isn't the best one to have. Especially don't mount it to your box. Because that needs some more glue. Fine. Oh yeah, if this one does the same thing and all these FETs check good, I'm going to draw this circuit. I will trace it down and we will do it. You know, if you've seen a couple of my videos, I will trace this thing and I will draw it. That way everybody knows. It'll be right here live on YouTube, and then that little circuit will be out. I don't think they're, I may have some kind of schematic for this. Sometimes it's hard to get exact schematics. You can get a generic one we might be able to print out in a different manufacturer and then modify it for this, but sure is nice to have it match up the part numbers perfectly. Bless you, kind of thing. So yeah, we got some weirdness. We got some nasty grease all over it. So this thing needs a bath before I do anything else. It's got some dead bugs down in it too. But nothing showed shorted on those FETs. Did anybody notice? It's inductor day. Yeah, it may be. Except these things look good. You know, normally on, you know, as far as that goes, these, normally you'll see a burn somewhere. There'll be at least a couple wires kind of burned, or it'll move. And these, I mean, not really. I mean, you can move some of these, the single wires, which produce the auxiliary voltages, but these are pretty good. It's really weird. So something has happened the same to this one. I'm going to clean this one. And that's a Rev 1. Let me look see what the revs on the other two are. They're all Rev 1. So yeah, man, I'm really a little disappointed. Sorry, we did a little troubleshooting. I thought we'd at least be faster on this. That 1 amp did work. It needs some parts. But now I've got two of these that have exactly the same problem. Some kind of short. How much you want to bet it's going to be the same component? Now this one, I'm going to have to douse down with the isopropyl alcohol and clean before I do anything to make sure, because it's got junk in it. So I'll get the board out and clean it. And then I'm going to, this should be a standard circuit, power supply circuit, so there's nothing special about it. Just want to be able to identify the components to show you guys. or those caps have crazy high ESR. I do have an ESR meter I finally picked up. It's new to me, which you have to have an ESR meter to measure caps in circuit. However, it doesn't measure all caps in circuit correctly, because like these are all in parallel, so it won't measure these. Because since they're all in parallel, it thinks it's the wrong one big cap. You'll have to take those out. But for individual caps, you can measure it in circuit, and it gives you a pretty good idea. It's still best to take it out and measure it outside of circuit. But the other sneaky thing you can do with an ESR meter is, because, see, it says it's 100K kilohertz. That's what it uses to test that. It will ignore inductors. So you can use it as a resistance test when there's inductors in the circuit with the resistance that you're trying to measure, so that you can get a pure resistance reading and not have it all messed up with the inductor. Don't know how to explain that really well because I'm new to doing that myself. I'm not an expert on it. I freely admit that. But it will let you do that. Watch Diodes Gone, no, not Diodes Gone Wild. Maybe it is Diodes Gone Wild that explains how to measure stuff with your high frequency. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does have a video on it. A great channel. Learn a lot from him. He talks about, he does a lot to help you get into switching power supplies with small cubes, talking about how they're safe, not safe, with cheap Chinese ones and stuff, and kind of goes over all the different kinds of switch mode power supplies. You can learn about it, which helps you identify and get more comfortable. Once you do that, you probably understand my rambling a little better. Science Live, the SLA 1500 schematic. Let's see here. I'm looking for that schematic. I know I have that schematic. Let me find it here. I'm about to sweat to death here. Oh, there we go. Is that in here? Go to the left screen. I am SLA 1500 schematic. Does it match up exactly as far as with components? So it's got, I'm going to look at the schematics designation for these FETs. I get the overhead light on. Sorry about the extra glare, but eyes are old. The sun's starting to set. So we got rectifiers. Ugh, this thing needs cleaned so bad. Nasty. All right, so we got, it calls it Q 3940, 2941. I have to turn my head, sorry. Shows 3 per bank. So 39, 40, and 41. 39, 40, and 41. And then the opposite bank of it should be 29, 30, and 31. 29, 30, and 31. Yep. Hey, it matches perfect. So that's fantastic. Let's poke around here. Let's go to left screen. So here's your inputs. That's the ground, remote, and battery. And so across battery and ground, we have all these caps. We also have the transformers and the FETs that go back through. So see, this is the drive circuit, and that comes from the 1700 or 7500. Is that what that is? I thought it was a TL. Sorry, yeah, this one in this circuit is a TL4900, not a 7500, but it's the same thing. So these could be shorted. Oh, that should be positive. So we'll look at the power supply drive circuit. Over here, here's the TL494. So where's it saying you actually get these, the power for these? These ought to be, it says 750 DBCC. What's it actually saying that comes from? I mean, that should be B+, but not all amps are that way. I've learned to at least ask where that is. That should just be B+, but no, not necessarily. It could be a limited, because it doesn't need that big of a drive. Everybody's probably saying a whole bunch of stuff in chat, telling me exactly where it's at. It's all calling this right here, where the remote turn on comes on. 12 volts comes across here, and there's 12 volts. So it comes across this. The turn on turns this on, which turns this transistor on. And so this is just in the remote turn on circuit. So this would be a great place to look, because we have both these transistors right here. Let's see if we can, and I wish this was a little better, but right here we have 12 volts coming in. Both of them goes through those things. So that's Q17 and Q18. They go across and they both connect here and go to ground, but that's got a capacitor there. But when they pass, when the remote comes in, turns this transistor on, it pulls the gates of these two, and these two provide voltage DC to everything else. So it's probably exactly where it's at, and that was the numbers we're looking for, is Q18 and Q17 would be my guess. Let's see what you guys are screaming at me in the chat window. And I'm going to grab the other, oh, hang on, you can't see what the hell I'm doing. I'm going to grab the other amp that's not nasty. And there it is. So Q18 and Q17 is what we're looking for. So that'd be real sweet. We can do a really quickie on that. That's where schematics are handy, because they give you the exact designation, instead of having to probe around everywhere. I'm going to assume those are both the same in the schematic. Let me look at that schematic again real quick. They call them an 8550. They are both PNPs. And this is a little SMD one that is together here. It is labeled MC. Oh, looky. Sorry. A little goofy, I know. Without my microscope, I'm going to try to show you. But we found the problem. Just by going and now knowing which ones. So, let me hold this thing. I wonder if I can just set it down and zoom in far enough. I really wish I had my microscope going good here. All right. So here we go. Let me get a pointer. So we're looking for a pair of NPN transistors that happen to be across that where the voltage is. And so there was a pair that these are labeled M6, M6. And that's close up right over here is where power is all coming in. So that makes sense that those are coming in on the turn on. There's also going to be transistor Q20, which is a NPN, which we got a little NPN right here. So that one turns on these two. Well, this one right here, I just now noticed it. It is cracked right here by the M. If I can make it focus. This is where my overhead camera is terrible for this. I wonder if I can bring this up. Switch the overhead light off. Oh, please, come on. Not me. I'd have to restart my OBS to get my overhead camera to work. So we don't want to do that. Come on, focus. So anyway, right there, you can see the two M's. If I can hold this. This one's flat. This one right here next to this M has a crack in it, and it is bulged up on the board. That is what's causing our short. Probably that one, maybe both of them. I'm going to turn on the hot air. We're going to have the meter here. And make sure that is right. Did I? Yep, so, yep, ground is the furthest. So we got a dead short right now. Get the hot air out. Real quick. I'm going to get my spectacles because I can't see nothing. And then I got to see what you guys are saying in chat. Yeah, tech specialists talking about a reverse polarity diode. That's what I was initially looking for. I did not notice this little sucker being cracked. I really wish I'd have fixed my scope before the stream to be able to show some of this work. I'm sorry, my fault. I will do better. It's been a while since I streamed. It's been a while since I've got to do a lot. So I just got to find my. Okay. So here it is, the little offending unit. We're going to go in here with the hot air. Just going to get the whole thing. Try not to blow on that connector for the LED right there. I didn't think of that. That'd be bad. It's glued on there, so. There's half of it. All right, real quick, multimeter. We're still showing a dead short. We're just going to go to the one right below it, because if it popped one, it may have popped both. There's a chance it did it to the NPN also. All right. Still a dead short. So now I'm going to want to take an X-Acto, get rid of this glue very carefully. I need my plastic spudger. Try to break this glue free. Pliers, because I don't want to melt this if I can avoid it. Yeah, there, I pulled the LED plug off so we can go ahead and let's try this other transistor, which this is the NPN that actually is turned on by the remote. Which then turns off those NPNs. So I've got the two, oh, you can't see it, but let's back out a little here. Got the NPN and PNP, and then the other half of that PNP here, so we can do some testing on them if we have to. Let's see if that got rid of the short. No. So we still have something. We may have popped the TL494 in that schematic. Let's see. So Tech Specialist says a reverse polarity diode, yeah, but there's not on there. That's what happens. Or those caps have crazy. The early boards use a trace shunt, while the newer revisions use a shunt bar. That's cool, Todd. El Fuego. Yeah, he repairs most everything. Damon's a Rockford Fosgate guy. I'm not taking any amps in right now. I have way too much stuff I'm trying to catch up on. I try to help everybody I can, and then I support several authorized Rockford repair places and any place that has an old Rockford tech, like George Sanchez at GNS Amp Repair, used to work for Rockford Fosgate. He does a whole bunch of Rockford repairs, and he's actually the go-to guy for all of JL Audio's out of service period amps. That's who JL is sending everybody to. So, well, I hear some fireworks starting up. We're gonna have to wrap this up. Uh, but I'll try to help anybody when they're troubleshooting and learning. I've got several videos and stuff just going through things. Todd did that Class AB thing today, and I've been meaning to go through and to show you kind of how I do Class AB. There's a couple different ways I do it, how to figure it out, because the signal gets lost after the differential amplifier until you get to the last stage, because it's kind of all current instead of voltage, and you can't trace it necessarily with your oscilloscope. So it takes a little doing, but you can, if you have another channel that works, you can go through and there's a way to take the FETs up, for me anyway. There's a way to take the FETs out, let it drive a signal in there, and do voltage measurements and talk it through once you understand how the circuit's laid out. And it makes it a lot easier if you have a schematic, or it is for me because I'm not brilliant. The Todd probably looks at a board and sees it and can recognize what it is because he's done it for a living. Me having schematic really helps, because those things look just like components sitting there to me until I see the schematic and follow the schematic, because I understand the schematic. For me, that's what I did in my job a ton, is looking through schematics tons, and so schematics are real big for me. But I can follow it through that way, and I can show you the way I do it. There's not necessarily the right way, but that's why I try to make these videos, is so that if somebody's struggling and has a screwed up brain like mine, maybe my video will help you out, and my way of doing it might make sense compared to what you're trying to learn. So that's why I do this. Just pass on any knowledge I'm learning, and then I'm learning at the same time. I'm not an expert on anything I do. I don't claim to be. I don't claim to be the Rockford expert. I love Rockford stuff. It was my first real amp. And Rockford is really cool if you start kind of at the beginning, back pedal here a little bit, and follow their amps all the way through up to the modern stuff. They kind of keep building on the same circuits, and you can see that the few changes and stuff. And so that worked for me. That clicks in my brain. So that allows me to troubleshoot those a little better, just because I can see the progression. There's some technology jumps in there, but they replace certain segments when that technology happens. And so it makes a lot of sense. And that has helped me understand other amplifiers because of that. You do not need to contact Rockford Fosgate to get a schematic from them. Rockford Fosgate schematics are all over on the net. Use the Googles, DuckDuckGo really, but they're on forums. There's some Electrotania sites that's got several. Try to place you some in chronological order and look at them, and you can kind of learn them, especially if you're using Perry's guide. So let's see. I'm still trying to get through chat here. Yep, Ellensburg's amplifier repair He's up there in Washington. Crazy place to live. I don't know how you do it, man. I like winter is bad enough here in Missouri. So, oh, El Fuego, thank you. I have a second gen Rockford Fuzz Punch 45 non HD. Inside it has 4 fuses on the board that are wrapped in aluminum foil. Why did somebody do that? Because they blew it. Hang on, El Fuego. I'll grab one of those amps. So this is the Punch 150, but the Punch 150, Punch 45, and Punch 75, non-HD on all these. This is the true second gen board if it has these little fuses. Let me pull these fuses up here. See these little fuses right here. Okay. The first gen board does not have that. And there, I had a first gen board inside this is considered a second gen heatsink. This heatsink design. It's also for the third gen because they put the HD amps in it. But as far as the Punch 150, there was a generation that had a different heatsink design and a different board. Handful of those boards made it into the second gen heatsinks. I had a Punch 45 that was that way, like I said. Then this actual second gen, which is the Punch 45, 75, 150 design, has the fuses in it, and the first gen will not. And then the HD, I could grab if somebody needs to see it really bad. I can show you the HD 150 here, but what they've done is they put foil in it because they blew this fuse, and they could not find this fuse. And these are called a SA fuse. That one is weak. So it's it's the big diameter. You know, you think the old automotive glass fuses, it's the same diameter, but it's really short. Okay. And that is because it's called an SA fuse. You can get them at the automotive parts store. They're normally a little pricey because they come in a pack that's got like 5 of, and it's got like a 2 amp, a 3 amp, a 5 amp, a 6 amp, or whatever. And so it's hard to get all the ones, but let me tell you exactly what that fuse is. There's 2 different parts for it if somebody hasn't done it in chat already. I'm looking. Hang on. Almost there. That's not the right spot. Not there. I had this listed some. Oh. Oh. It is in here. It's in my notes. One of these days I plan on starting a little small business to offer up my boards and a whole bunch of other stuff. And so I make notes because I build harnesses and I do all this for fun, and I don't really make enough money, but like to at least start it. I lose money on my hobbies bad. One, I would like to make it at least start it up and get it going so that the name is there. And oh, I can offer up some parts that are hard for people to find, exactly like these fuses. I've got it in, it's not in this notepad. Shoot. Did somebody already mention it? It's like an SA fuse. Yeah, so wrapping it in foil is the fuse blue. They're used aluminum foil to bridge it. These fuses in these style amps are on the output rail voltages that feed to the output transistors. And so it's supposed to help protect if you overcurrent the outputs, or actually the outputs here. So two things you need to do on these. When I went to pull this one, you could feel that one side lifted out easier than the other. This clip is getting old and soft. If you squeeze it together and it doesn't squeeze firmly, a lot of times these amps got used so much and so hard that somebody had pulled them in and out so many times that that these have got weak, and there is ways to fix that. You can buy those clips to replace if you need to. If you go on Rockford Fosgate's website, as a matter of fact, maybe I have that. Rockford. I have the old manual. You go to their support and you look up Punch 45, you should find the old manual. And it tells. One of my Punch series videos, talks about the fuses and the fuse size, gives correct size to go in them for each amp. I got that in my notes somewhere. And I'm not doing a very good job of letting you know what it is. For the 45, I want to say they were 2 or 3. Yeah, Jesse says 2 AG fuse. Maybe it is a 2 AG is the size for it. But I think it's a 2 or 3. No, it's a 4, 5, and 7. I think 4 for the Punch 45, 5. Maybe that's the output fuses, because I got those notes too. It is all findable on Rockford Fosgate's support site. Let's. So let me go to the left screen. So here we are, Rockford Fosgate's site support. Type in Punch 45. You're going to get several things. Here's the Molex connectors, so you know what that is. There's some of that. There's the HD line, so 89. So we're looking for older than 89. Maybe if we click on that one. No. Here was the connector. Everybody asked about this. This is the connector for the HD amps. See, the 45, 75, 150 are all the same. I don't know where I got that. I had that. I've got that. Oh, I did not mean to do that. Hang on. Yeah, thank you. History. Restore previous session. Thank you. Didn't want to lose all that. If you write in the comments of this video, I will look it up. I will find it. We're taking too long here. The live stream's going to take forever. I'm trying to find where I'm supposed to be. Okay. And I lost chat. So I lost chat because I accidentally closed out my internet window. So hopefully somebody else has said something on there. But to comment on this live stream, it'll go up in YouTube, and I will tell you the correct fuse sizes if you need it. If somebody in chat already didn't, I lost my chat history because I clicked the wrong button. I can do that. So I'm going to end this here. We're way over time. We've been streaming for 2 hours and 10 minutes. I meant to go an hour. So any last second questions, type them in now so that I can see if it's... Oh, here we go, live chat. Ah, no, I got it back. Okay. Yeah, I learned something. So yeah, that was the poor man's way to do it. I was saying something about Eberg. Yeah, he fixes everything. He does it for a living. I've mentioned all that. 3 AG fuse. 30 takes 3 amp. Punch 45 takes 5. Punch 75 takes the 5. And punch 150 takes a 6. Yeah, yeah, so 3 AG does sound right, Jesse. That is what it's called. You can go to O'Reilly's, AutoZone, Napa, whatever you have close to you. They do have those fuses. It's just going to cost you a couple bucks to get enough of the correct value to put in. Don't put in too big. Back in the day, the guys that competed with these, they would go up, let's say it had a 4 amp fuse. If they were competing and running it real hard, they'd jump up one more fuse size to 5, just so they could run it a little harder. That's okay, and actually Rockford states some of that in their literature, but they just say the next size up. So, don't go from a 5 to a 10. That's bad. But you can go 5 to 6, so that it has a little more cushion when you're doing competition. That was back in the 80s, late 80s. So obviously it's a little different. You should be, if you're running these old amps now, you should be running the appropriate ones and just put the appropriate size fuses in, because you don't want to blow up these wonderful old amps. We want cool, old school installs for them to sound good. So, like I said, if that doesn't cover it, Jesse did answer it there. I'll try to add it in the comments. But I'm going to go eat some dinner. I'm about to starve. We're over an hour past. I really appreciate it. Thank you, El Fuego, for the super chat. You will go on my super chat list. I have one that I keep, and that way everybody goes on there. And I'm going to start adding that stuff to my videos. Thank yous, shout outs, and stuff like that, because just awesome, helpful. I take all the little bit of money that I make from the tiny amount of money. It's like a couple $100 a year kind of thing from YouTube, and I just buy better stuff like microphones or cameras, just so I can record and stream. So it's a hobby. That's why I'm going to keep doing it. One of these days, maybe I'll do it for a living. I'd like to retire early and do electronics repair of all kinds of stuff for a living, just because it keeps it out of the landfill. That's my way of being green and stuff like that. It helps people that can't afford to buy new all the time when their old stuff breaks. I totally relate to that. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks everybody, and have a very, very, very great night. Have a safe and happy 4th of July. And I'll see you on the next one.